Welcome to the live. I'm just stirring a cup of tea. It's got A on the front of it for my name. And also A star, because I'm an A star. No, I'm messing. So, this one follows on from yesterday about self-discipline for effortless results. And as I said in that live, it's not effortless at first. I made the analogy at the start of it about, it was a bit like, if you go to the gym for the very first time, it's not effortless, it's absolutely horrendous. And it only becomes effortless after months, if not years of training, and then you become to enjoy it. Just this morning I was training jiu-jitsu. I just realised how difficult it was when I first started. I remember there's something that happens when you're not used to the weight on your body, like when someone's laying on top of you, basically crushing you. You're not used to the weight, and it feels like you're dying, and you got to get used to the breathing and all that pressure. But another thing is, it feels like you're breaking your ribs because you're using your body. There's all little intercostal muscles between your ribs, and you're kind of using these things for the very first time. I mean, it's like any kind of physical activity, whether you're going in the gym, the reason why it's hard is because you're not used to the movement. Same with like if you start cycling, you're not used to the movement, but you can be unfit in the gym, but very cycling fit because it's just like motor skills, getting your body used to a movement. It's same with jiu-jitsu. And it's same with anything really, you know. If you, like I remember when I was at school, younger, I enjoyed English language, but I did not like reading. I did not like reading at all. I was almost like, I don't think, when I was at school, I don't think dyslexia were diagnosed, but I'm pretty sure I was sort of partly dyslexic in that regard. I absolutely hated it. I was very good at mathematics and problem solving and science and things, and that's why I went into engineering, which is the route that I took, but I did not like reading at all. So, but now I love reading. I read every day, and it's because I've moved myself through that, which is pretty good, really, because, you know, if you think about it, if you're deficient in an area, you can actually train yourself out of it. And that's what today is about. It's, you know, the title about Stop Being Lazy is a bloody a truthful one, because, like I said, in terms of self-discipline, it's not easy to start with. You're literally forming new habits, and you have to push yourself through that initial pain to do this. It's like anything, you know. It's like when people ask me, you know, I see people want, like the journal, right? People want to journal because they know that it's a good habit. It's like a well-known good habit. They want to practice good habits, and then they start and then they just give up, or maybe they don't give up. What's the difference? Well, it's like that habit formation, right? You've got to actually want to change and force yourself through it, so you get to the point where you enjoy it, and then it becomes just a regular part of your day. It's like with people losing weight and controlling diet. I see a lot of people control the diet and lose weight and get in the gym and stuff, but it doesn't last. You know, it tends to be like my friend did it to get married. You know, he lost so much weight, looked fantastic, and then after the marriage and years went by, he ballooned again. Actually saw him Thursday and he'd lost 9 stone. And it's like, fucking hell, he's done it again. And it's like, this time we had a bit of a chat, and it was like, you know, you make it a lifestyle thing now. You don't just give up. So you've got to force yourself to through the habit, force yourself through the pain, so that your aim really is to make a lifestyle change. And because if you don't manage to do this, let's say you do, everyone can sort of go on a fucking Weight Watchers or whatever, you know, and do 3 months of a particular controlled diet and push themselves through some, like, you know, white knuckling it type thing, like fucking you can do that. But you need to look at sustainability. It's like crash dieting. You need to look at sustainability. Because if you don't do these things, what will actually happen is essentially your life will end up shit and it will just punish you. Life will just fucking punish the weak, right? There's no two ways about it. There's a term called entropy that, well, we know about the term entropy. If you do nothing, entropy will get you and life will punish you, right? In the long run, if you don't build discipline, you just end up with like lost opportunities, declining health, your confidence takes a knock. How many people go from being that cocky guy in the 20s to just get fucking hollowed out by the time they're 40 and they're just a shadow of themselves, just fat and broke, right? Bad relationships, they fucking settled with a woman and what the fuck, and it feels impossible to get out of it, like, low income, just total shrinking of self and just a hollowing out. Now, that's the problem. And I could give you loads of examples of this, like, I nearly suffered from, I did for a period, I had a period like that, and I look back at that period and I think, fucking hell, am I glad I dug myself out of that, but it was hard. The book, the book Peak 40, Mark Bubbs, is a good one. It's a health book, but it touches on this concept that, like, if we just take men, for example, I think Mark Bubbs there, he says, the worst time in a man's life tends to be between the age of 40 and 48. That happens to be a very difficult time for men because in the West, usually because, there's a lot of forces against men now, a lot of things against fucking Western men. Anyway, I'm not going to go into politics, but basically between the ages of 40 and 48, you end up with this scenario where they're probably in a career by that time. They're maybe golden handcuffs, a bit locked into it, can't walk away because by that time, usually you've built up significant dependencies in your life. Like maybe you've got married and had kids and got a mortgage and fucking car payments and all this shit that you didn't have to choose, but you did just because you sort of followed the herd. And things are not going great. Maybe kids are giving you shit. The woman's might not be the woman that you really want, but it's the woman that you're stuck with. And whatever, I'm not, it could be the other way around. You could be a woman looking at it and going, fucking hell, I'm stuck with this loser and all that. But, I'm actually pro relationship, so I'm not trying to shit on people. I'm just saying the reality. And what Mark Bubbs was saying is that's the point where between the ages of 40 and 48, the man's probably declining health. He's probably put on loads of fucking weight. These fat guys that go down pub, they're about 45 and, they got the kids and stress of the mortgage, especially today when everything's shite, the economy. This is a really traumatic time for a man, and it happens to be the time where stress, depression, and all these like bad things can hit a man. And it's that time where you've got to look at it and go, maybe if you catch it early and you go, no, fuck this, I'm going to get on my purpose and start losing weight and smashing your goals and things like that, then you're great. If not, you hit that point and you've really got to dig yourself out. So that's a good book. You should read Mark Bubbs' Peak 40. It's a very quick book to read and it's quite sobering because if you're not at the age of 40, if you've not reached that point yet, it's coming if you do nothing and you're lazy, and you're going to suffer from that life's punishment and entropy. And what he said is if you can get through those years, it is possible, I know that because I'm doing it, it is possible to go through those years and get everything you want out of life. I recognise this. I was entering that period and things went really fucking dark for me. And I managed to sort of hack my way out of that, and I'm sort of riding through those years now and just getting everything that I want out of life. And it's all through making good decisions. Something else, I might just put the light on because it's getting a bit dark, isn't it? Hang on one sec. Switch the lights on. There we go. Is that better? Oh yeah, here we go. Right, we're back. Another book, The Road Less Travelled, M. Scott Peck. A new psychology of love, traditional values, and spiritual growth. So some people will put this in the relationship category, but I think it's more about spiritual growth. I'm just going to turn to this page here, 284. There's two diagrams there about entropy in life. We're going to have a bit of a chat about these, right? The top one is, well, it's like, it's kind of organisms on the planet and the hierarchy. So it's higher organization, it's called. And what you've got at the very top there, you've got man at the top, entropy at the bottom, and you've got the forces of entropy. And the reason why it's a triangle is because the things at the bottom, which are viruses, bacteria, and colonial organisms, whatever they are, then fish, then birds, then animals, and then man at the top. Things at the bottom are in bigger numbers, right? So the the organisms at the bottom are at bigger numbers, and they're suffering from entropy. You know what I mean? Entropy's like the force of entropy is going down the two sides of the triangle. And that's just like, who's the apex on the planet? Well, it's man, then colonial organisms, bacteria and viruses. But you could put this triangle at any level. You know, you could zoom in on where it says man there. You could zoom right in and have a look at that. And there's a hierarchy in society, isn't there? You know, the people at the top, the people at the bottom. And, you know, it's like Darwinism, if you like, but Darwinianism. But you've got the apex predators in the business world at the very top. And this is just a fucking reality of life. You know, if you happen to be a socialist and you don't believe in this, it's still even in a socialist society. You know, there's people at the top making the rules and then everyone else, isn't there? They just leveled it out a bit more, or, you know, and then you got, in a capitalist world, it's the same. We never actually see anything pure. You know, we end up with crony capitalism, or socialist ends up being like globalism or whatever. But there's always a fucking hierarchy, right? And your job is to survive, yeah? Now, you don't have to be the absolute apex alpha at the very top. Your mission should be trying to get to the point where you can live life on your terms with as little dependency on others. And that means how can you do without needing to rely on various now obviously if you've got physical problems, then you need to rely on various services, but you want to become as much independent as you can without constraints. And then the next diagram underneath it, if you have a look at the bottom diagram there, you've got it's about spiritual competence. So you've got spiritual competence at the top, and then undeveloped spirituality at the top. And this is like humanity, you know. The evolution of humanity can be similarly diagrammed. So the evolution of humanity, spiritual competence at the top, and then undeveloped spirituality at the bottom, with the forces of entropy again. You've got the same issue here, right? Hi, how you doing? Thanks for joining. You've got the same issue here, right? Which is in your spirituality. If you do fuck all about it, you know, you don't develop your mind to have a strong mind and a strong sense of self. When we talk about spirituality, we can be talking about anything here. Maybe you're religious, or maybe you're sort of like what I consider myself to be following Ed. The 9 stages of ego development. Let me see if I've got it here. Oh, I haven't got it. But essentially, the 9 stages of ego development are all about nothing to do with ego, by the way. There's like 4 big groups. You've got pre-conventional, like opportunists. Well, it's either underdeveloped humans, like babies, who just don't even know that they're here. Really, I don't really understand what's going on. Or very, very, I don't know how to say this in a politically correct way, but just stupid people. Or criminals and opportunists. And then you got conventional people, which are like more, I would say, plugged in, good little slaves, paying the taxes, going to work, not ruffling any feathers, doing what the government tell them and all that stuff, right? You got them folks. And then you got post-conventional. These are people that are thinking outside the box. And then there's a final group called unitive. And in each of these groups, there's like 2 or 3 subdivisions, you know what I mean? And you want to be post-conventional. I mean, trying to be unitive, this is like the Buddha, you want to be post-conventional in your thoughts. And that's likely to up your standing in this sort of organizational pyramid here. Even though we've got man at the top and animals and all that. If we zoom into the man section, sorry, that's hard to see. We zoom into the man section, we could split humans into like apex predators at the top, and then like the people that work for them, and then blah, 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 keep going down to the people in the gutter at the bottom. And your job is always to hack your way out the gutter. This is more of a external world, like material world. This is the inner game, inner world, the power of the mind. If you work on this, it often benefits this. But yeah, essentially, you don't want to be suffering from entropy. It's like what I said yesterday about maintenance mode in anything in life. Sometimes I think it's okay if you think about the categories of personal development on the life harmony model. Let me just get it. These categories of personal development there. Right, so what we got? Physical, mindset, spiritual, relationships, financial, occupational, and lifestyle. Out of all them 7 areas, it's quite difficult to, we can't multitask. We're only ever working on one thing at once, and that's all we should do. Work on in focus blocks of time on one thing at once. So when I journal, I talk about choosing 3 things a day towards your goals. You might have a goal in any one of them 7 areas to improve it, but you can only do one thing at once. So when you're choosing your one thing, you might say, this week I'm really going to focus on, I don't know, my mindset. And I've got a lot of reading to do and a lot of whatever you're doing, Or you might focus on like your occupation, say you've got a work project. And temporarily you are maybe putting other areas in maintenance mode. It's like looking at this diagram now. If you look there now, this person has got amazing financial strength. This is an example. So let's say they're doing very well financially. They might decide not to worry about that and put it in maintenance and work on, you see, this relationship's a bit shit. So they might say, well, I'm going to work here and I'm going to try and improve my lifestyle as well, and then build goals around that. So, but what they're doing is they're temporarily putting the financial in maintenance. Now, you can only do that for so much time. Because I remember when I was training with Adam, my personal trainer, he was like asking me, I've not been training with him as a one-to-one for a bit, but I do go and train with him. And he actually asked me, what are your goals at the minute? I said, I'm just ticking along. I've got a lot of work on, so I'm just keeping it going, keeping my physique. And he turned around and he said to me, there's no such thing as maintenance. He basically said, there is absolutely no such thing as maintenance. Thank you. Thanks, guys. He said, maintenance is still decline, like still entropy. You're either growing or shrinking. And this is the point. I do think that you could put certain areas of life in maintenance mode, but not forever. Maybe for like a few months. So like if you got the journal and you're going 3 months working on your career, say, whilst you've and just parking a relationship for a bit. Not parking it, but you know, just ticking it over. Eventually that relationship will disintegrate if you stick it in maintenance mode for too long. Something I found out after doing that for fucking years, what happens. It's a reality. So you've always got to keep oscillating, and this is why when I talk about the life harmony model, you regrade it, you know, the categories of personal development. My approach to achieving your goals works in all these 7 areas. And the idea being is you might say, I'm going to focus on 3 of them for the next 6 months. You do that, and then your ultimate job is to grow this shape to get 80% across the board, because you want to do this holistically. And that's why what I talk about on my channel, the goal achievement method that I use, it works for anything. And you want to grow holistically. There are certain things that make your life easier. Like I always think health and fitness and training just benefits everything. It benefits your mindset because you think clearer, because you've not got brain fog, and you're more focused, you know what I mean? Especially if you're going like on the right whole foods diet, you know, it's going to benefit you. And then eventually, because you're thinking better, that's likely to benefit your occupation or your job or your work or your performance, whatever you're doing. Yeah. And then, you know, like your occupation benefits your financial. Then all of a sudden your lifestyle comes in order with these things. I always think, you know, if you're in the gutter, you should start on your physical health. So that's like get your diet in check, which is most important. Start, you know, feeding your body with good fuel. Get training, you know, get working out. Then you get a clear mind, right? Then when you get a clear mind, you can start focusing on your occupation, right? And then when you focus on your occupation, I always think at the same time, you want your spirituality going. You know what I mean? You need a sort of sense of self. And let's say you're there now with a clear mind, you're in shape, you're physical, you're working on your occupation, your work gets better. As a result of it, you start earning money. So your finances get better. Then your lifestyle gets better. And then I always think, lastly, relationships come as a result of living life on your terms and having the lifestyle that you want. People will just show up because they want to be part of it, right? And I did a few videos last year. I did one called Treat Your Dating Life Like an Experiment. You know, it's a bit like an MOT on a car. The results that you get in dating are sort of like a mirror. They're like representative of where you currently are. And if you're not getting good results, then you should sort of downgrade the importance of it and just focus on building inherent value. And then just keep checking in. Treat it like an experiment, like a feedback loop. Am I getting better results? Because once all this shit starts growing, you get a better lifestyle. Everything becomes easy. You don't need the best pickup lines. It doesn't matter. You don't have to learn game. Well, you should learn game, but what I'm saying is it's not so important when you've got massive high self-worth and you're in shape and you've got a few quid. Everything gets fucking easy. All your problems go away when you start living life on your terms and yeah, smashing your goals. So yeah, I've talked a lot about that. Sort of rambled on, but the main thing, you know, I was trying to get across was the effects of entropy are real. There's no such thing as maintenance mode. You can maintain something for a while, but you need to get back to it. So that's why, you know, just again, let's go here. You want to be growing this shape. Where are you? On there. Not to 100% in each of them 7 areas, and just grow it. Get to 80% across the board. That's hard to do. I don't think it's. I was having a chat with Roberto, and he was saying it's not. You shouldn't grade yourself at 100% anywhere, because you got no space to grow. You know what I mean? 80% is a good measure, because if you hit 100, like, what are you, the best? That, you know, you need space to grow, and it's hard to stay at the top. Yeah, mind over matter, exactly. You know, your mindset is so important. Just to point, if you're in the absolute gutter before mindset, physical health, I always think that, you know, if you're fat and out of shape and eating crap, you're not going to have a clear mind. If you're drinking and eating crap, and or if you're skinny fat or whatever. That's why I put that picture on the thumbnail. I don't know if you can see the thumbnail. Yeah. So yeah, just to recap, Mark Bubbs, Peak 40, the book, where he's talking about what happens to men between the ages of 40 and 48. It's a very difficult time for them, where they can reach this point where life can become very fucking difficult. It's likely to be when you've got the most constraints. Probably you followed the herd, got married, kids, mortgage, car payments, you're in a job you hate, or you've reached a plateau in your career and you're fat and overweight, and you know, things are just not moving. That's when entropy can really creep in. You can end up with all these bad situations, and you really got to fight it. That's one. Obviously, the diagram's in Road Less Travelled on page 384. I'll just show you them again. Apologies if you've seen these. If you haven't, no. There you go. You've got the top one, which is like the hierarchy of animals on the planet, but you could apply that to divide humans up. The top, those at the top, those at the bottom. Entropy, fighting against. Bigger numbers at the bottom than at the top. The bottom one is spiritual development, applies the same. And then, obviously, on the life harmony model, the 7 areas of personal development, which also will suffer from entropy if you put them in. Put any one of these in maintenance mode, it'll start to suffer when you regrade yourself. So you can do it for a while. I did a video, it was a long time ago, probably about 3 or 4 years, no, about 3 years ago, about the order of them 7 areas. I do believe the correct order, if you need to work on everything, if it's all low. If you scored that life harmony model and you're pretty good in some areas, then you know where you need to work on. But if you're low across the board, you start with health and fitness. You know, get your diet in check. Start training. You start there because it gives you a clear mindset. Then you work on your mindset, right? And then your spirituality at the same time as mindset, because they're kind of connected. And then what you do is you work. That will then benefit your career or your occupation. Thank you very much. Love your content. Yeah, it's quite niche. So if you have a look at this, right, start here, physical, because that will give you a clear mind. So if you're eating a really clean diet, you know, you get rid of brain fog. You can then get your mind strong and your spirituality. You really get a strong mind. This will benefit your occupation, right, which will then benefit your finances, which will then benefit your lifestyle, right? Lifestyle. And then lastly, as a result, Don't worry about relationships, because relationships will sort of find you once you have the lifestyle. So think about that. Physical, mindset, spirituality, occupation, benefit financial situation, which will then benefit your lifestyle, which will then attract the right relationships. And just keep doing that. How are you doing? Yeah, you can have a shout out. Fat Nicker from the USA. Right, okay. Yeah. Whereabouts in the USA are you from? Are you, you know, big place, isn't it, the USA? Hope that were useful. Thank you for listening, everyone. Go and have a look at my other videos. By all means, check out the journal, posted worldwide. We've got a Black Friday sale on at the minute, dirt cheap at the minute. There's like 20% off. Link down below, so if you want one. Post them out everywhere. All right, go and have a look at some of my other videos. A good one, the 7 mental models for success. Go and have a look at that video. Just do a bit of search on my channel. That's a good one. Trying to give you some mental models there that just work. It might even be linked down below. All right. Thank you very much. See you all next time.